right. I've had a very exciting morning today here at Bitcoin Builders Nashville. We've talked about everything from capital to the application layer to almost all things decentralized finance when it comes to the Bitcoin ecosystem. We're going to continue that conversation around DeFi, but this time we're going to go towards the Lightning side, or the Lightspark side, if you will. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome up our next panel to talk about the universal money address opportunity. Please welcome up our panel, Nick from Lightspark, and their moderator, Colin of Blockspace Media.
Hey, how we doing, y'all? Welcome to Nashville. Hope the rain and humidity are treating you right. Nick, how you doing, man?
Very good, very good. Excited to be here.
Would you like to kick us off with giving just a quick background on yourself and some of the stuff that Lightspark does before we jump into the nitty-gritty on the UMA and some of the cool things y'all are building?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us. I'm Nicolas. I'm leading the product team at Lightspark. I've been in the payments, money movement, money infrastructure for some time, most of my career, and in Bitcoin, more recently. But I've been investing in Bitcoin since 2013, 14. At Lightspark, we believe that the world deserves a more open money network. Yeah, I think we're all facing that issue where we try to move money cross-border, for example. I had some friends from Europe, from France, visiting me in California, and they tried to send me money on my Venmo in the US, and they're using a different app, over in Europe. They wanted to send euros to me. I wanted to receive USD. I think we're all facing those challenges. We believe that Lightning can be the right settlement layer behind a new, more modern, more sophisticated payment infrastructure, and that's what we do at Lightspark. We are enterprise-grade Lightning implementation. We are B2B business. And then we launched this UMA protocol to help any UMA-enabled wallets, exchanges, accounts to send money cross-border more efficiently.
Yeah, and so could you speak a little bit more about the universal money address? Because going back to that, core mission at Lightspark to eliminate any friction for anything that we're doing for international payments or national payments. How does the universal money address that, and exactly how does it work?
Yeah, so we launched this protocol at the end of last year. It's called Universal Money Address. So it's just an email address, but for money. So like an email address, it has a username and a domain, but with a $sign in front of it. And it's pretty much an open standard protocol based on LN URL, so it's fully compatible with Lightning addresses, if you're familiar with it. I'm sure some of you are. But we extended the protocol, the standard, to cover a couple of things. One, currency exchange mechanism. So any cross-border payments can leverage UMA and convert from any currencies to any currency, pending what the senders and the receivers wants to send or receive, but also to comply to any regulation required by our partners, the regulated financial institutions. So the UMA open standards cover all the compliance needs, including travel rules, if required. And it's basically a pre-transaction handshake where a sender, financial institutions, can send a query to a receiver, financial institutions, and validate a few information about the users, the preferred currency of choice that the receiver wants to receive, and then initiate a Lightning invoice on the back of that.
And just to highlight this point, one of the reasons why I love this product and think it's so cool is if I am in the US, I'm in Nashville, I have a Ripio wallet, you're in France or Spain somewhere and you have a Zappo wallet, we can send each other money in our currencies of choice instantaneously without having to go through a wire transfer, without having to go through Western Union, without having to jump through any other hoops. And I've seen this with a lot of my buddies who work in Bitcoin. One of them is from Venezuela, he lives in Brazil. Yeah. We were on an offsite last year and I was watching him jump through those hoops. It was like trying to get US dollars into Brazilian real in his native currency.
Yes.
And something like the UMA address could just totally obviate any need for anything like that. So what kind of companies, enterprises, and other products do you envision adopting this standard?
So because UMA is a human readable address, so you don't need the complexity of remembering some complex ID or wallet keys or QR code. You can just provide your UMA to any senders to send or receive money. We have a pretty broad target market and audience. Over time, we believe that most of us will have, or most institutions will have an email, a money address through UMA. To send or receive money, or take any kind of commerce transactions and payment. At Lightspark, we've been targeting crypto exchanges initially. You may have seen one of our announcements with Coinbase and Nubank and other financial institutions like Bitso and Zappo. So we're targeting crypto exchanges, neobanks, and then over time, it can be any marketplaces that needs to send or receive or make payments a lot more efficiently.
And so would you say that there's almost kind of a dual-pronged approach in terms of use here, where you could have Lightspark on the enterprise side as like a settlement layer, and then you could also have it on more consumer-facing apps like things like Venmo or Cash App or any number of payment apps that we have for kind of a consumer-facing settlement for all of those different currencies?
Yeah, that's a good point. At Lightspark, we're a B2B partner. We are the settlement layer and the enterprise-grade Lightning implementation behind a protocol like UMA. UMA is just the messaging layer. It's open standards. So if you're developers, you can go to uma.me and get all of the information you need to start developing against UMA. And we'll have more than 100 million UMA-enabled endpoints in the network already across more than 90 countries. And it's all available now. What Lightspark does behind that open standard protocol is enabling any companies on Lightning. And as we know, building on Lightning is not easy. It's a pretty challenging technology, a lot of benefits, but challenging to optimize the nodes, do the liquidity management. And that's what Lightspark does. We have an enterprise-grade solutions, different ways to implement Lightning, and all the complexity of Lightning. This is what we worked hard on at Lightspark, to make that as easy as possible to any partners that we are working with.
I'm happy that you mentioned about the complexities and difficulties with using Lightning because, been out for a while, since 2016, 2017. And there are many challenges that companies face when they're building on Lightning. One is the one that you touched, the liquidity issue.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into necessarily the architecture for why that exists, but because of the way that Lightning is designed, sometimes payment channels aren't properly balanced and there's not a clear path for payments to flow. The other thing, too, is just general user experience and user interface issues, right? Lightning invoices can be clunky. A lot of the early Lightning wallets were built by kind of garage shop hobbyists. They're great apps, they're great wallets, but they weren't always built with user experience in mind. So just when you're designing products at Lightspark, what are some of the challenges that you specifically as a product market guy face, and what have been some of the more difficult problems for the team to address when designing something like UMA or any of Lightspark's products?
Yeah, first, the reason why we made UMA an open standard and an open protocol is to really help the user adoptions, because of Lightning and understanding how invoice work can be complex. It's a human-readable protocol, so we're all familiar with emails. I think that's helped simplifying the experience and drive adoption from many users. We also work hard to address all of the compliance aspect that financial institution needs to go through in terms of KYC, travel rules sometimes, to be able to validate and process payments. All of that is behind the scene, involved into the UMA protocol. Our partners drive the experience themselves, and we're sitting in the background, abstracting Lightning. Users don't even need to know that behind UMA, Lightning has been involved, or Bitcoin has been involved. Back to your example about Venezuela and US, what happened there is, you might be able to send USD from the US bank account. We convert USD into Lightning, short exposure to Bitcoin at that point, travel the border all the way to Venezuela, and on the other side, we can convert back, in the local currency and the preferred currency of that recipient. So it's very much a traditional payment experience that people are used to, with Lightning efficiencies behind the scene.
You spoke about abstraction there, about the all of this, like you said, is behind the scene. The liquidity management, the payments, the compliance if needed. All of that is taken on by Lightspark, and the user doesn't experience any of that. Much in the same way that when an American might send a Cash App or a Venmo to a friend after getting a burger or paying for their Uber share, they're not seeing all of the steps for clearing that money on all the different financial institutions that end up actually touching it before it gets from bank account A to bank account B.
Yeah.
And with regards to Bitcoin, this kind of speaks to, in some way, an emerging narrative, a narrative that's been around, but this idea that there's Bitcoin, the network, obviously, and usually in editorial policy. I work as a journalist, right? You do capital B for the Bitcoin network, but then the lowercase b is for the currency. So would just love to hear a little bit more about your thoughts and Lightspark's thoughts on using Bitcoin specifically as that settlement layer and as the network, while abstracting away the actual lowercase b currency side of it for people where they're only dealing with their local currencies or other fiat currencies.
Yeah. At Lightspark, we want our infrastructure to help moving any type of currencies as a more open, payment network, money network. So we really want to support fiat to fiat, stablecoin to fiat, Bitcoin to fiat, or fiat to Bitcoin. We're really kind of neutral in whatever money movement we want to support. We believe, and we build strong conviction for multiple reasons that I think we all share here, that Bitcoin is the right asset behind the scene to be that open settlement layer. Obviously, it doesn't really scale on L1. Hence, we invested a lot of knowledge in L2s and Lightning. But again, all of that is what we take care of. And working with Apple, working with all of our partners right now, this is what we provide as an enterprise-grade level that is fully regulated for them to do what they do best, which is engaging with their own users, defining what users wants to send or wants to receive, whatever currency. Stablecoin might come on Lightning at some point, and we will support stablecoin on Lightning as well. So we're really about being neutral and being that efficient, open, 24/7 neutral settlement layer behind the scene.
You gotta love that specific vision, right? And I think the one that Lightning holds as the promise is Bitcoin as that international standard, and then Lightning as the international settlement standard.
Yep.
And there's something very exciting to me that I'd like to be spending my Bitcoin over Lightning if I have the opportunity. But there's also something incredible about taking a trip overseas to Europe, being able to convert to a stable coin that's the euro just like that, using Lightning as the settlement method.
Yeah.
And then having everything else frontward and consumer facing being the fiat currencies we're used to spending. The first time I came into the potential of Lightning as a remittance network specifically for currency conversion was actually in Europe during a Lightning conference in 2019.
Yeah.
And the use case immediately clicked for me. It would be an amazing thing to have for when you're traveling abroad and you need to quickly convert through currencies. So hopefully next time I go to France, I'll be able to use UMA for converting to euros or something like that.
We've got a few partners there that you can use that for already. So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting. And
oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, we have this concept of streaming money at Lightspark, where we're talking a lot here about cross-border payments. But once you have the right infrastructure that is Bitcoin-based on moving any amount of money, large or small, a lot faster, 24/7, doesn't close at 5 p.m. on Fridays when the bank are closed, then there's more use cases that we can think of. You're talking about the cross-border going to Europe. It can be, I'm an Uber driver and I want to get paid as I complete my ride or deliver the food. Or I'm a content creator on a Spotify, for example, marketplace. Then I can actually get paid as soon as someone watch or engage with my content. So the more you think about the payment experiences we can support once we have that more modern settlement layer, it's very exciting.
Yep. As a content creator myself, I'm very excited about micropayments for certain things. Like you could imagine an application where you don't even necessarily have subscriptions, but you have kind of pay-to-go stuff where you can unlock easily with paying 50 sats, 100 sats for a piece of content online.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we're butting up on time. Lightning round, final thoughts. 10 seconds.
No, very excited to be here. Everything we talked about here, which a lot of us dreamed of in the last few years, I think now it become a reality. I would really encourage you to go to uma.me. Right now, you can see how Uma works, how our Lightning implementation works. We believe there will be other Lightning implementation behind Uma. We made that fully open, but really happy to work with any of you in bringing those experiences to life.
Sweet. Enjoy the talk, Nick.
Thank you.
Have a good time.
Thank you.